We've always liked to say that working with Dorico is like having an intelligent assistant at your side, taking care of the laborious details of producing a beautiful score and letting you concentrate on getting creative. The all-new proofreading framework in Dorico 6 makes this more true than ever before, as Dorico continually checks for dozens of potential issues in your score while you work. Allow me to show you what I mean. The idea behind the new proofreading feature is that Dorico is able to spot certain things that might raise questions in a rehearsal or performance situation and gives you the opportunity to address them before you print. Dorico will check for metrical problems, including repeated time signatures, hidden time signatures, bars that don't add up to the prevailing time signature, that kind of thing. It'll look out for superfluous or repeated markings, such as dynamics, clefs, playing techniques, and key signatures. And it will warn of practical issues, such as instrument changes that leave too little time to swap instruments, even knowing that some bigger instruments can take longer to switch, and numerous playability issues for stringed instruments. We see this as the beginning of proofreading in Dorico and have plans to build on the framework in the future with all sorts of other checks. In write mode, there's a new button in the Write Zone toolbox that opens the proofreading panel. Any issues that Dorico finds will be listed here. The color of the item, along with an icon, denotes the proofer category, and there's a readout of where the potential issue is located. The list is in chronological order. If the item relates to a particular instrument, that is also shown, and there's a general description of the issue. Clicking an item will bring the potential problem area into view and highlight it. If it relates to a specific item, only that item will be highlighted. And if it relates to something that's missing, such as a hidden time signature, then an arrow points to the potential problem area. The list of potential issues can become quite long, and it's also possible that you might not wish to be warned about certain categories. Because of the way that proofreading works, with Dorico continually checking the score after every edit, it's not possible to remove warnings without fixing the issue in the score. After all, it's possible that an issue dismissed for one reason now might become problematic for another reason as a result of future edits. Instead, it's possible to check and uncheck the proofer categories so that you see only the ones relevant to you. And it's a helpful way to manage the list as you work through potential edits and fixes. You can also view issues only in specific flows to further manage this process. Let's have a look at this project that I've been working on. Dorico has flagged 14 potential issues, shown by the indicator in the Toolbox button. Reviewing the first item in the list, I can see that this bar doesn't have the correct number of beats. I knew I wanted this bar onwards to be in 3/4, but that's left me one beat down in the previous bar. I have two options: increase the length of the short bar or move the time signature. I don't want an additional beat here, so I'll set my grid resolution to a dotted half note, and with the time signature selected, type Alt plus left arrow, that's Option left arrow on Mac. And with that, the issue is cleared in the proofreading panel. The next one's easy. I've ended up with a repeated key signature, so I can safely delete it. This is interesting. My oboe player doubles on cor anglais, but I haven't left enough time for this instrument change. Only 1.5 seconds, it seems. I can try shortening the final oboe note, but no, that's not enough. I think in this case, I need to move this line to the clarinet. The next problem is in the cello. It's worried about this consort marking, even though I have a senza sword a couple of bars later. If I select it, I can see in the status bar that this marking has a length, and it continues past the senza sword through to bar 16, but there's no continuation line. This could result in a potential playback issue. To be honest, it doesn't need the length, as my expression map will just switch the playback instrument to the muted and natural techniques as the playhead passes the markings. so I can safely remove the duration from this technique. Dorico is suggesting I restate the dynamic for the double bass here because of the length of the preceding rest the player has had. This is interesting. I meant for these violin double stops to be an octave apart, not 2 octaves. And here's a simple copy-paste error. I probably shouldn't expect these wind players to play pizzicato. Nearly there. I have a repeated bass clef here in the cellos. I know why. Previously, these notes had been up an octave, and when I changed them, I added the clef change, forgetting I had one later in the piece. And these dynamics are flagged up as unnecessary because the instruments have had only 2 bars rest. And there you go. I've quickly been able to work through all the potential issues. Now, there may be times that you don't want Dorico to be continually notifying you of such issues. So it's possible to disable the feature by simply pressing the power button at the bottom of the panel. And it's super easy to enable proofreading again with a single click. This is actually toggling a preference, so the setting will persist across projects and sessions until you next enable or disable proofreading. And that's proofreading in Dorico 6. I've barely scratched the surface of what Dorico is checking for you. As you work, you'll discover the depths at which it is working for you. Things like noticing a missing double bar line marking the pickup at the end of a phrase, looking out for clefs used on an instrument that doesn't usually use that type of clef, like a percussion clef on a pitched instrument, and music for stringed instruments with 2 or more notes that would require the same string. The list is very long already, and as I've said, we have big plans for the future, extending proofreading to check for many more potential problems. I'm Anthony Hughes. Thanks for watching.